Hello everybody, I am Jedi Jack Penguin and welcome back to another LEGO Harry Potter review. So today we're going to be looking at set number 76454, Hogwarts Castle, the Main Tower. This set includes 2,135 pieces, retailing for $259.99 when it released on June 1st of 2025. This is currently the largest Hogwarts expansion to release for the current lineup. It is also the most expensive. It's insane that this is even more expensive than the set that we got last year, the Great Hall. I really do love that LEGO is continuing to make these $200 or more Hogwarts expansions. It's exactly what I was hoping for what they're calling the most detailed Hogwarts castle ever. But is it really the most detailed Hogwarts castle ever, or is it just really the biggest Hogwarts castle ever? Getting into the box art, we have that same style that we saw introduced back in 2021. You get your minifigures from the bottom, quite a solid selection, though probably not as good as the Great Hall. I did notice that there are no arm-printed minifigures in this entire new wave, which is just insane compared to what we got last year with Snape and Dumbledore and McGonagall. And I do have to highlight, in the background we see a little bit of the astronomy tower. Is this hinting to what we could see as our next large expansion next summer? We'll have to wait and see. Flipping to the back side of the box, we get a better look at the interior compared to the beautiful exterior. We have quite a lot going on in here, and I do really like all of the different rooms. I'm excited to take a look at them close up in person. I do have to point out that this set can connect to last year's giant expansion, the Hogwarts Great Hall. I'm really excited to put those two side by side, which you will see later on in the video. From the very bottom, we do get a note saying that this set will include 6 of those collectible portraits. Will probably make a lot more sense than some of the other sets that have included those portraits, as we actually have a grand staircase to place them on. Another one of these paper bags for the instructions. Why? Opening up the box, we have 21 numbered bags to build this set. You also get a loose plate piece, as well as a bag featuring some of the larger elements, including a new cone piece for the very top of the tower, which is amazing that they made that. And now here's the part that is frustrating to me, though I see why they're doing this, as far as they want people to build these sets, these larger sets, together with other people. We have not 1, not 2, but we have 7 instruction manuals, because isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number? You also get 2 sticker sheets, one of which being on the reflective background, so then for the Mirror of XELAZED, which is amazing that they were able to do that yet again. LEGO is doing something different. From the back of all of these instructions, we get a different minifigure or pair of minifigures from the set. And we also get a good look at this set connected to that Great Hall, showing off the interiors. It's just really nice that they were able to include that picture for those who are interested. I'll just leave it up so you can take a closer look, screenshot it, whatever you want. Unless you get the set, you can actually have it in hand. And there's a look at this set all together from the outside, and we also have the greenhouses underneath that. For some reason it should be further off to the side alongside this. And also, where did the owlry go? I don't know where that went. Maybe did they retire that recently? I'm not exactly sure, but here's a look at what our current Hogwarts lineup looks like. Still not exactly a place for that first flying lesson set, and this shouldn't be over there. That should be further along. If you look at any map of Hogwarts, you'll understand this. To start off our minifigure selection, we get Harry Potter, who is exclusive to the set thanks to a brand new torso print representing the end of the Philosopher's Stone. Get those short legs to again represent that year 1 through 2 version of his character. I think it turned out alright, though certainly I do prefer the darker red for his jumper compared to this bright red that we're using in this situation. We also get that same double-sided facial expression introduced in 2018 with a smile from the front and a scared look from the backside. You're gonna see a pattern here, Ron Weasley, just like Harry, brand new and exclusive thanks to the torso print, which I think this torso looks really nice on his character, definitely one of the better torso prints to come out of the Harry Potter theme. There's a look at the backside. And we also get that same double-sided facial expression introduced in 2018 with the smile from the front. And then that scared look again from the backside. Hermione Granger, brand new torso print, facial expression from 2018. Here's a look at the backside. I'll remove the hairpiece so you can take a better look at the torso printing overall from the back and the front there. And I'll flip around the facial expression just so then you can see that as well. Not a bad figure, just not exciting, though I guess it is nice to get all three of the main characters in the same outfits from the one scene. Neville Longbottom looking really adorable in his pajamas. We get a brand new torso print. Facial expression will be the same one that we've seen in other sets. There's a look at the back. You get the little teddy bear prints, which I think is very cute. And the facial expression, as I said, double-sided. We get a smirk from the front, and then a more concerned look from the backside. Continuing down the line of Hogwarts Students, we have Dean Thomas, featuring the same facial expression introduced in the Magical Trunk set way back when. Torso print will be the same introduced in 2021, with the Gryffindor Hogwarts robes. Facial expression is also double-sided, so we'll remove that hair and spin it right around, where we get a bit of a sad look for Dean from the other side. One of two brand new students appearing for the very first time in LEGO form, we have Ernie Macmillan, who is a Hufflepuff student. We get the Hufflepuff robes, which we saw introduced back in the 2021 days. Front and back printing for that. Facial expression is a reuse from Anakin Skywalker, where we saw him within the Sith Infiltrator last year. I think it's really interesting to see that get put into the Harry Potter theme, though definitely it works for a younger student. And we get the Luke hairpiece for his figure as well, which makes for a very interesting combo. Another random student included is Lisa Turbin, which is a Ravenclaw student. We get the Ravenclaw robes, front and back printing for that. As she's a female student, we get those dual molded legs as well as the skirt piece introduced in the 2021 Magical Staircase set. Facial expression, just like Dean, will come from that magical trunk, I believe. Or actually, now that I think of it, this facial expression might have appeared on Leanne within the Great Hall last year. I'm not exactly sure. It is double-sided. You get a happy face and then a frown from the backside. On to some taller students, we have Percy Weasley. I am a little disappointed that we didn't get his little prefect's badge on the torso, though still it's fine for what it is. We get the same facial expression and hairpiece that we also saw within the Burrow direct-to-consumer last year. I think it works very well for Percy. Again, I just think that these figures are very simple and definitely could have more to them. Finishing off the students, we have Marcus Flint, featuring a brand new facial expression, and I think the torso might even be a brand new print as well for that sort of Slytherin Quidditch team design. I think it turned out really well. You get the printing from the back with a little hoodie, and only the one facial expression, which, as I said, is exclusive to his character. Hopefully we see it get reused next year in a Quidditch set. I think we're long overdue for a new Quidditch set, maybe next year, 2026. Professor Albus Dumbledore appears again within this set after appearing within the Hogwarts Great Hall. Biggest disappointment? No arm prints. I mean, I wouldn't have minded if they made a repeat minifigure, but instead they made an entirely new Dumbledore, so I'm going to show this side by side with the Dumbledore that comes in that set. Yeah, we get brand new prints for the skirt piece as well as the torso print. Facial expression will be the same that we saw introduced in 2021, I believe. Really is insane to see that they've made two unique Dumbledores over the course of 2 years, and one of them featuring some lovely arm prints. I don't understand why we couldn't see those get translated over to this minifigure. Yes, this is probably a slightly different outfit. I'm not exactly sure where this shows up in the films compared to what we saw here, but it's just really interesting to see those differences between these characters, more of a cheaper design and a more expensive set. And then this was definitely expensive for last year, 2024, and we get those lovely arm prints, and we get that dual molded hair hat combo. Here we only get the regular hairpiece for Dumbledore. Quickly removing the beard, I just wanted to do that so you can take a better look at the torso printing. Facial expression is the same that we have seen on previous versions of Albus Dumbledore. LEGO continues to surprise us with these more obscure teacher characters. Here we have Professor Kettleburn, who is the Care of Magical Creatures teacher, at least until Hagrid takes over, so then he can enjoy his vacation with his remaining limbs. In the films, we only ever see Professor Kettleburn in the stands watching the Quidditch matches, and there we don't really even get too good a look at his character. Recently he has been in some of the Harry Potter video games, so maybe they're sort of just mixing designs of what we see in the films and what we see in the games. This sort of more matches what we see in the games, though also takes a little bit of inspiration from the films. Again, it's just really weird to see a lot more of these obscure teachers popping up in these sets, though I absolutely love it. We get a brand new torso print, which I think is nice. Hairpiece is an uncommon hair. We see this on Carl from Up. We get the smaller beard piece, though the facial expression is a reuse from the Rivendell direct-to-consumer from Lord of the Rings. Just like Dumbledore, I'll remove that beard so you can take a better look at the torso printing and the facial expression, only the one facial expression. Completing our minifigure lineup, we have Nearly Headless Nick making his third appearance ever in LEGO form. We're back to the classic light gray and white and bits of dark gray on this character, which we saw introduced back in the 2018 version. Speaking of that 2018 version, I definitely think this is an upgrade as far as including the frills at the neck. I think that's a really neat inclusion. We also get a different hairpiece for his character, which I think is maybe even better than what they were using. They were using the more modern Doc Brown hairpiece. I think this one, which they typically use for like Grand Moff Tarkin, works very well for his character. Taking a closer look at that facial expression, we get a smirk from the front, and we can spin it right around to see more of a concerned look from the back side. I think it's nice that they decided to include him here, maybe as a reference to Chamber of Secrets when Harry finds him petrified on the staircase. Not a minifigure, but still something that I wanted to show up front. We have a brand new version of Fluffy the Three-Headed Dog in this set. It's a lot smaller than the previous two, and it features 3 brand new molds and 1 exclusive print, which is used across 3 times for the headpiece. I thought it would be nice to show all 3 of these together right next to each other, just so then you can get an idea. Of course, my least favorite is going to still probably end up being this one from 2021. It has 3 different prints for the heads, which I do really like that this new version has 1 print that's used universally across all 3 of the heads, but just looking at the shaping of these, I prefer this mold compared to what they did here, which looks, it doesn't really look too much like a dog. I think the ears could have been done a little bit better. The shaping of the mouth could have definitely been done a lot better, which though I see what they were going for as far as the design where they wanted to keep the mouth open and close feature. They made a brand new piece for the mouth, which is very, very hard to get out, but you can take a quick comparison of how a closed mouth and an open mouth looks on one of these dogs. It uses 2 pieces, 1 for the bottom of the mouth and 1 for the main head. The main head connects using a Technic piece, which we have one with a stud on the end, connected into a bar. These can move side to side, but not up and down. Only the middle one can go up and down as far as functions go. Talking about the rest of the body, I'm alright with it. I definitely think that they should have gone more in the direction of what we got back in 2001. 2001 probably is going to end up staying my most favorite of the bunch, even though it uses the outdated brown color. I just think that they knew what they were doing with this design. It's classic, it works. The dog faces look like dogs compared to what even is this? I've seen a lot of people comment that this looks like a bear, which is really hilarious. Even 2021 did a much better job with the mold for a dog's face. This looks really good. Both of these molds look really, really good for a dog's face. And then this one, it just, I don't think it works very well. Though still, it ones up this as far as being a brand new mold, which is what we initially asked for when we saw what we got here, this brick-built monster here. I definitely prefer them having made brand new molds here, though as far as just looking at the size of these, seeing how shrunken down this got, it's really disappointing, though they probably shrunk it down mostly to fit within the tower itself. This definitely had potential, but I don't think they got it. I'm gonna close all three of those mouths so you can see them all closed. It's cute, it's adorable. I think the closed mouths probably help it a little bit more, but still, I think that those head molds could have been a lot better. It's just the front shaping of it doesn't feel quite right to me. The rest of the body, it's okay. It's not great. Definitely could have been a lot better, but it's very close to what we got back in 2001. That was probably what they were trying to aim for, including the feature where the mouths can move. And they listened by making brand new molds and only having one consistent design for all three of the heads. In all its very tall glory, here we have the Hogwarts main tower. This set looks really beautiful from the exterior, and it looks amazing. It looks stunning next to the Hogwarts Great Hall from last year, 2024. I just think that they did a really, really great job with this set. Some of the interiors in here are actually quite good, or at least they're a lot better than what we have been getting in a lot of these most detailed ever Hogwarts Castle expansion sets. Starting off by taking a look at the exterior, I wanted to talk about how much I love that this set is very consistent in design compared to the sets that we've gotten over the last year for this current Hogwarts lineup. Just like the Great Hall from last year, this set is supported by a rocky bottom. I know some people may complain that it's very blocky, just like the Great Hall set. It may not flow exactly the way that many people would like, but still, I do have to appreciate, as far as the color scheme goes, the design for these trees that are connected with the clip piece connection, and the dark blue for the water. I really love that this is continuing the same design style that we've seen for the other sets in the lineup. I am going to talk more about this towards the end of the video, but I do have to talk about how this set connects to the other Hogwarts expansions and future Hogwarts expansions. We get 2 connection points, one of which that you can see towards the main tower side, the big long tower side, where we get a clip piece that'll connect to that Hogwarts Great Hall from last year. And then we happen to see a bar connection from the back side with the interior, which leaves me to believe that we could be seeing something push farther back. I wouldn't mind seeing a clock tower in this wave. I would love to see a clock tower at a $100 or more price, but honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. The next Hogwarts expansion, I think, is going to probably emerge from the side over here, where we get a little bit of an opening, which it doesn't make much sense it coming off of Fluffy's room, but still, as far as future expansions go, we're going to be moving in that direction. Another similarity to the Hogwarts Great Hall is how we use both cones and tiles to create this little fence around the building. You get some studded area to stand your minifigures if you so desire. We get some lovely lights and this beautiful doorway into the Fluffy encounter room. I really like how they accomplished the angle for the roof. We do happen to get a small ugly gap here, but it's not really noticeable. And again, I'm just very happy with the general architecture of the outside of this building. I think LEGO did a very wonderful job. Looking at the main tower itself, it uses a bunch of regular brick pieces as well as hinge plates to create a more rounded look. We also get some window pieces here, which I really like seeing. And as we reach the very top of the tower, I just have to appreciate how they made this brand new cone, half cone mold piece to create the very top of the tower. It just looks so stunning. I can't wait to see where they use this piece next, especially if we do get any larger Hogwarts expansions than this one. And I do have to mention that they have the Headmaster's Tower jutting off the very top, even though they include Dumbledore's office as part of the main interiors for the set. The interior for this set I think is quite impressive, or at least there's a lot more going on than I think some of the other Hogwarts expansions that we've gotten in recent years. Though that doesn't mean that these interiors are all wins. I definitely think there's some room for improvement and a lot of things that are a lot smaller than they should be. No better place to start than the third floor, which is actually the second floor, or the main floor of this set, where we have Fluffy the three-headed dog, or at least I haven't put him in there yet. We get a little door that swings open and close. I love seeing this door piece. I really do think most Harry Potter sets should use this door over a normal door. I don't understand why certain sets, I'm talking about you, Hagrid's Hut, does not use this door piece. So here we have a pretty blank room. It's not really too exciting. We happen to get a small build for the harp from the very back, which I guess could have been in a more golden color, though looking at the Mirror of Erised that we get in this set, it also uses the same yellow instead of gold. You'll also find a little window in the corner, which, as I keep mentioning, could be a jumping off point as maybe a continuation into the next tower. There is supposed to be some sort of a bridge from that point, which brings me to say that the placement of this location, compared to everything else in this set, is probably the most inaccurate. Before we put Fluffy inside, I do want to mention trapdoor. You can open and close, doesn't go down, it just stays up. Placing Fluffy inside the room, there's just enough room to have him covering the front door, not really enough room for anybody else to join him. Opening up the trap door, you can have your character go inside. Doesn't close the whole way with the character inside, but that's because we have some Devil's Snare. Now, the Devil's Snare is held up using some Technic connections and a function that's controlled from the front of the building, where if you press up or down on this piece of rock, it'll have your character fall from the rest of the Devil's Snare. Here's a quick look from the opposite side in case you were interested. This part will move the Devil's Snare up and down from the trapdoor. Removing Hermione, you can take a better look inside the room where we get some sticker details for the Devil's Snare or plants around. The next two interiors can be separated from the rest of the castle and can slide out rather easily when this is pushed around on a flat surface. So if you want to, you can place these other rooms inside, say, the Great Hall or some of the other Hogwarts expansions if you want to, because they use that same slide in, slide out technique with the Technic holes from the backside that are somewhat held in place with some Technic axles, though are very, very loose. The next room is rather disappointing. We have the room with the winged keys, which has this more dark blue color scheme because it's a darker area, I guess. We have some winged keys that do not have wings, they're just connected with these translucent clip pieces, and I just think it's really disappointing that these do not have like a wing piece on them or any indication for like maybe like a broken wing key or like a special key to help them move on to the next stage. It's just really disappointing. Get these hinge plates from the backside so you can make it a little bit more open for when you remove it from the entire situation. And then we have a spinny plate from the middle with a broomstick and 2 winged keys. This is disappointing. Very disappointing. I just think 2001 did it better, and that's just terrible to say, because that's really outdated. I might as well also bring the attention to the broom being used, which is using the more modern building technique with the broom bottom piece and then the pole piece for the broom. It's interesting to see them go back and forth with those broom designs. And for the larger piece that can be removed from the bottom, we have the giant chessboard transfigured by Professor McGonagall. And it's not as good as the one that we got in 2021, that's for sure, but it's still close enough as far as just to represent the scene. I do kind of question why we have the dark blue being used instead of the black for this, but still, it works, it's fine. I also have to appreciate that they happen to include this different horse design compared to the horse design that we have for the white chess player. So you can actually have Ron riding the horse, which I think is really clever that they were able to include that. And I also have to mention that they do happen to include these little cheese slopes from the sides, probably to represent fallen chess pieces, which I think is a great inclusion. Otherwise, I just think generally the tasks that they have are disappointing, though again, I have to say the problem is probably mostly due to the size of this. If they could have made this any bigger, this could have been a lot more exciting, and definitely this could have been way better. But for the price point, I do believe that they made the right decision, making these the way that they are, and mainly focusing on the main tower itself. With all the challenges complete, that leads us to the Mirror of XELAZED, which is using this reflective sticker that you can see my face in. Hello. I think this is a downgrade compared to what we got in 2018. I'm going to show them side by side. We have Harry with his parents. I think they did a much better job in 2018 just because they went all out with adding all these different stickers. This only uses a few pieces. Most of the detail is on that one reflective sticker in the middle, and they also just have it in this plain solid yellow color compared to something that's more golden and special, which I think is a little disappointing. Now, they do show that you can just flip this around to show the other design for the mirror, where you have Harry finding the Philosopher's Stone, which is using this new piece build up, this 1x1 plate with a cheese slope on the top to create it. We do happen to get that in this set right above the mirror where it stands. Again, I just think that this could have been done way better than it did. And seeing what they did in 2018, we got this. We got Dumbledore with his socks. We got Ron with the Quidditch cup. And you even got Quirrell with the stone. We don't get Quirrell with the stone in this, which I think would have been a dead giveaway inclusion, though even though he's not in this set, you do happen to get him in the Hogwarts Great Hall from last year. I just think it's a little disappointing. Here's a look of the room where we keep the Mirror of XELAZED. We have this jumper plate area where you can place the mirror. When placing it back inside, I definitely recommend having it on its side. We do get a spinny plate that can spin around in circles, so then you can see both sides of the mirror. And you get some little flames as extra details. And as I mentioned before, we happen to get the Philosopher's Stone right above. We do happen to get this little jumper plate where you can place the Philosopher's Stone, so we do happen to get both sides where you can just have Harry standing there looking at his parents. And then he starts thinking about that Philosopher's Stone so he can steal it before Quirrell gets it. Finishing up with this top section, we get a spider, and we get a spot for one of your collectible portraits, which I did happen to get one brand new portrait. So now I'm only missing one of the 14 that you can collect through these sets released 2024 through 2025. Moving on, we have the main staircase tower, which includes 3 sets of staircases leading up to Dumbledore's office. Now, typically the main staircase tower has 7 levels. I wasn't expecting to see that in this LEGO set, but as far as what LEGO did include, I am very pleased with a lot of the different portraits, and also the ability to move the staircases. You can move the first staircase from side to side to either reach the Gryffindor common room or another set of staircases that doesn't move. This static staircase then leads to staircase number 3, which features the gargoyle to enter Dumbledore's office on one side, and then the stairs to actually enter the office from the other side. I think this is a clever design. You can spin it off to the side, you can kind of get in over there. Moving back down to the bottom level, I do want to just appreciate the interiors of this main staircase. We have some little decorative items, or I guess little trophy room items. You get a little trophy as well as a bust of some character. We get 2 more of your collectible portraits. There are 6 to collect in this set. You also happen to see some stickered portraits throughout this set, some of which are a bit more noticeable as far as what you would see in the films than others. Like looking at the one on the 2nd floor, I really love that they were able to capture that particular portrait. We get one with King Tut and various witches and wizards, leading up to the very top floor with Dumbledore's gargoyle. We get a neat reference to Prisoner of Azkaban with the hippo that the fat lady hides behind to escape who she thinks is Sirius Black. Entering the Gryffindor common room, I think this is the best case scenario placement for this particular common room. Seeing the placement for the Hufflepuff common room in the Hogwarts Great Hall set, that also checks out with the maps of Hogwarts, so if we do happen to see an astronomy tower next year, I have no doubt in my mind that we could end up seeing the Slytherin common room in that set. We'll have to wait and see though, LEGO is mysterious. But talking about the Gryffindor common room, we do happen to get a sticker for the fat lady portrait. I think they did a really nice job recreating this particular portrait, the way that this can swing open and closed, and also just the design mimicking more of a year 1 version or year 1-2 version of the fat lady compared to what we would see later on in the films. Speaking of the common room itself, I really like the color scheme. We get some Gryffindor banners hanging, we have the fireplace, a little table and some chairs for your characters to stand or sit on. They don't have any studs on them. And then we have the main dormitories where you get the radiator in the middle and 2 beds from either side, a box of Birdie Bots every flavor beans, and we also happen to see an open-winged Hedwig floating around here as well. Saving the best for last, we have my favorite interior of this set, and that is Dumbledore's office, which is jam-packed with so many references and special molded pieces like the Sword of Gryffindor on the wall, and Fawkes the Phoenix, which I don't think we've seen since 2021, which I do appreciate seeing that same mold from the collectible minifigures return. We happen to get the sorting hat in here, which is using the same regular brown color that we saw in the UCS, or I guess 18+ sorting hat set that we got last year. And all around you can see some of Dumbledore's trinkets, as well as the portraits of previous headmasters, and even the pensive. LEGO really did a wonderful job. Now you may notice that front and center we have Dumbledore's desk. How are we supposed to get Dumbledore behind his desk? Well, his desk is easily removable. It's on top of this jumper plate, allowing you to easily place your Dumbledore minifigure behind the desk if you want to. Removing the desk one more time, another little detail that I'm just amazed to see included, even though it's not exactly size accurate, is just seeing the steps behind Dumbledore's office there into what would be maybe his resting area. Again, I do think that this is my favorite interior of the set, even though it's not exactly the most accurate as far as its placement is at the very top of the tower. It is really supposed to be all the way up there. On to the portion of the video that most of you have probably been waiting for. Here is me combining this set with a lot of the other LEGO Harry Potter sets released within the last 2 years. Honestly, this is not a bad display. If you just got into LEGO Harry Potter last year in 2024, this is a really, really good setup, and especially having those 3 sets together, the boathouse, the Great Hall, and the main tower, they just look amazing together. I really am excited to see what else LEGO does with this current Hogwarts lineup before they close it out, probably in place of starting to get some stuff based on the new TV show. Now the question is, how does the main tower connect to the Hogwarts Great Hall? Well, it's quite simple. As I showed earlier on in the video, we do get a clip connection at the very base of the main tower, and then we have some bar connections from the back side of the Hogwarts Great Hall, and you just simply merge them together. It may be a bit confusing to see where you may want to clip it to the back, because we do get 4 bar connections from the back and only 1 main clip piece from the front of the main tower. Though if you go by what's shown within the instructions, you'll see that we want to make sure that the main tower is very, very close to the back side of that Great Hall, not where we see another opening, which would likely be where we see a continuation into whatever we're going to end up seeing next. There are still going to be a number of standalone sets like the first flying lesson, Owlry, which they're not even showing anymore. They might be retiring that at the end of this year. And of course the classrooms, they aren't really going to advertise, as you can really place them anywhere you want. I really wish that they could have had specific spots for those sets within this interior. It is a little annoying to have some extra interiors for this set, but hey, you can play around with it. Like for instance, I placed both the potions class and the charms class, even though it's not really a too accurate placement, underneath the main staircase tower, just because I'm not too much of a fan of how they did the tasks. It is, again, just inaccurate, but I think it's a much better placement, at least for the time, until we see whatever they do end up continuing this expansion into. Again, LEGO really did leave these sets open for your own creativity to place these interiors wherever you want. Comparing it to what we saw back in the 2021 days, where you could mix and match different portions of the castle, I definitely think this was the better route, to have removable interiors and not mix and match exteriors as well. It also made it so then these castles could actually look a lot more accurate. Finishing up with just general talk about how I laid out this display. From one side, you'll see that I placed Hagrid's Hut and the Forbidden Forest sets, which, as you may know, I'm not too much of a fan of those sets, but it still makes for quite a good setup if you're just getting into the LEGO Harry Potter theme. I really wanted to feature the Durmstrang ship and the Beauxbaton carriage in this lineup, mainly because when the rumors first came out for that Hogwarts Great Hall set, I was really hoping for something based on Goblet of Fire, as something that we really haven't seen before. So far, most of these Hogwarts sets have focused on the first 2 movies, only one based on Goblet of Fire with the Owlry set. I really do hope that when we see sets release next year in 2026, that we start moving into Prisoner of Azkaban and those later films. I think that is really what we should end up seeing if next year does in fact become the end of this current Hogwarts lineup. As a whole, I am really excited to see what else they can do to make this what they're calling the most detailed Hogwarts Castle ever, even though I do think it is just going to end up being the biggest Hogwarts Castle lineup ever. I am planning to build the 2018 microscale Hogwarts sometime in the future, and I will show that next to what this ends up being sometime in the future. I also might as well show what this looks like next to what we got at the start of the reboot back in 2018 with the Hogwarts Great Hall that also had the staircase tower. If you're interested just to see that size comparison, this definitely blows it out of the park and even expands upon those original ideas, which it's great to see the LEGO Harry Potter theme continue to evolve and become better and better every year. So overall, for $260, is this set worth it? Well, the minifigure selection, I think it's alright. You get a lot of minifigures in this set. though not all of them are really too exciting. It's a little disappointing that Dumbledore doesn't get his arm prints, and I think that some of the characters just could have had more to them to make them more unique and special to the set and different compared to some of the previous versions. I definitely think Nearly Headless Nick did a great job at that, but characters like Percy, I wish he got his prefect's badge. Neville could have had his frozen face. When it comes to Fluffy, this version I think is an upgrade compared to the last one. It does fix some of the problems I had with that version, though I still think 2001 is gonna be my favorite version of that character. And finally, the main tower itself. It's beautiful. I really am impressed, especially from the very top. I love those brand new pieces that they made for the top of the tower. I really am looking forward to them maybe using that again in the future for other Hogwarts sets, if they are making sets at this scale, and also just how round they were able to get it using a lot of the plate and brick techniques, those hinge pieces. It is also very consistent with the last Hogwarts expansions that we've gotten, as far as the rocky bottom, the trees, and just the color scheme in general. Little hints of that sand green, that classic color from the Harry Potter theme, I do appreciate. The interiors for this set are actually quite better than some that we've seen in some of these other most detailed Hogwarts Castle sets. I really like the Gryffindor common room, and especially Dumbledore's office is very impressive to me. Some of the challenges are a little disappointing, especially the room with the winged keys. I definitely think they could have improved there, but as far as the size goes, they really couldn't have done too much more if they didn't make this an even bigger set, which I would have loved to have seen them do with this and the Great Hall, but let's face it, I don't think that's really gonna happen anytime soon. So yeah, that's all that I have to say for this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified about future videos. So yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye!